How did your high school crush turn out as an adult? Story 1. I had 2 unrealized crushes in high school. One is a teacher and musician. She's married and has either 1 or 2 children. We've kept in loose contact via social media and ran into each other at a New Year's Eve party shortly before she got married. I was introduced to her now husband as her favorite ex ever. He seemed like a decent dude, and I'm happy for her. I believe the other became a U.S. attorney. I've not heard from her since Google Plus almost became a social media thing. I imagine she's still very productive and would be disappointed in my life choices. Story 2. My only girlfriend in high school was my crush. Her mom banned her from dating me after about a year because my GF admitted to her mom that we were fooling around. This was about 20 years ago. She's still living with her mom, has no kids, and as far as I know, never again dated seriously after her mom broke us up. She still has the same job from high school, too. It's like her mom went way into protective overdrive and my former GF never grew up. Story 3. I was a freshman and had a crush on a senior. To add to it, she was a cheerleader and her brother played quarterback for the football team and got a college scholarship. She showed up at a football game a couple of years later with a baby in tow. She's married now and back in her hometown. That's about all I know. Story 4. I was younger and crushing hard. I got an AOL instant messenger and had gotten my crush's screen name from a friend. I worked up the nerve to start a conversation with him, and soon after some awkward small talk, he sent me a message in Comic Sans black background, red lettering, and in French. I then went to Google for translation and found out he had just called me a pig in French. Being a seemingly awkward and chubby teenager, I was literally crushed. The heartbreak was only made worse by remembering that a few weeks prior, I had selected to take French class the next year and couldn't change it. Years later, now that I've blossomed, he follows me on every social media platform and has reached out a couple of times to try and flirt or hang out. Hard pass. I believe he's moved away and is a teacher now. Story 5. There was a girl I really admired for a while. She didn't really give me the time of day after freshman year, though. She was co-valedictorian and hugged me as I crossed the stage at graduation, and no one else got one. I'm still really confused about that 6 years later. She went on to medical school and is either married or at least engaged to a guy she met there. Overall, she's doing really well and I'm happy for her. Story 6. My high school ex randomly sent me a text years after we split up that went, "I know you don't like metal, but I thought you'd like this," and a link to a clarinet cover of a metal song I played in high school. Little did he know that I hated playing clarinet and that I was now a total metalhead. Story 7. I had a few in high school. One ended up moving away after her sophomore year, and no one knew why. She reached out to me when I had a mental breakdown online and said that she could understand what I was going through. Some effed up shit had happened to her, though she never said specifically what. I didn't ask further because it wasn't my business to pry. I'm not sure how she is now. Another girl got super hot after high school, and she did a degree in science. Again, I'm not sure where she is now, but I think she's doing okay. And the third works at a bank. We ended on bad terms, partly my fault. I found out she was making fun of me behind my back and had done so for months beforehand, so I sent her an angry message. Haven't seen her since then. Story 8. The guy I crushed on for 2.5 years did not end up turning out great. I'm still friends with his younger sister, so I know that he recently acquired his 3rd DUI and his 2nd divorce. He's currently living in his friend's basement and occasionally works as a mover for his friend's moving company, but only when he feels like it. He spends all his money on booze and owes the 2 moms of his 5 kids tons of child support. But man, was he hot in high school. My second crush in high school is the only reason I got over my first crush. He's currently doing great, mostly because he gets to be married to me for going on 20 years. Story 9. My high school crush went her separate way after I went to Vietnam and got married. We continued to write each other while overseas. 3 years ago, we reconnected after she showed me all the letters I sent her. We are madly in love with each other at age 70. Story 10. She was a cute and fascinating girl who grew into a beautiful, intelligent woman. We had not spoken in 30 plus years before connecting on Facebook a couple of years ago. When I went home to visit family, she and I had coffee and spent 3 hours pouring our hearts out to each other in the middle of Starbucks. We both agreed we made a mistake not being together, but since we are both already married to other people, we probably need to stay the hell away from each other. Now the only communication we have is the occasional like on a Facebook post. Story 11. I was the crusher and, as it turned out, also the crushee. We were from a remote and rural town and used to go on rather wholesome road trips to major cities to see punk rock shows with our group of mutual friends. He was 2 years older and so kind for letting me tag along. I couldn't figure it out then because, in my eyes, he was way too cool for awkwardly shy me. After growing apart and going to different universities in faraway big cities, we casually connected on MySpace. We're old and have been together these last 14 plus years. Married for almost 4 now. Story 12. She asked me out back in high school, and for some stupid reason I was so nervous I said no. Anyway, these days she just posts really hot photos from expensive resorts constantly. She never mentions work. I don't remember her family being particularly well off, but they weren't poor either. That could have changed. I don't know. It doesn't seem like there's much to her personality other than Bloody Marys and bikinis by rooftop pools. But I guess you can't really judge a book by its cover, but you can jerk it. Story 13. I was lucky enough to marry my high school crush. We were great friends through high school, but we were never both single at the same time. Either she was single and I was not, or vice versa. I moved away for college and to travel, but we kept in touch, and anytime I'd visit home, it would be the same story. One of us was single and one of us was not. But we would still hang out and party together. When I finally moved back to my hometown, we had both gotten out of bad relationships around the same time and decided to be friends with benefits since we knew each other well enough that it wasn't awkward. After a few months of that, we decided to start dating, which snowballed into a 7-year relationship so far. We've been married for 2 of those 7 years, and our 3rd wedding anniversary is in June. Story 14. My first crush turned into my bully for most of high school, which resulted in me having confidence problems well into my 20s. Now, he has no real luck in life. No education, no career, no family, just trying to latch on to the remnants of his popularity. Basically a 30-year-old teenager, plus he even got cancer 2 years ago, which I wouldn't wish on anyone and is incredibly sad. Meanwhile, I found the love of my life, a literal soulmate, who funnily enough was the popular one at his high school in his prime. I'm getting married in April and we have a baby on the way. I have a nice career that has not let me down even now in COVID, and I literally feel like the happiest person in the world. I wouldn't have believed anyone if they told me this was possible 15 years ago. Story 15. He was the most amazing guy in school. We used to sit together for 1.5 years, talk every day and every night, and there was chemistry too. It would have been my first relationship, but somehow we messed up and drifted apart. After 10 years, he is successful in his job, top of his class in college, has graduated, and has made a career for himself. He's still a super cool guy to this day, and I learned that there were never any problems with me, and he actually wanted a relationship with me too back in high school. This effed me up even though I'm in a relationship with another guy and not going to cheat or anything because we both didn't reach out to one another to resolve things. Story 16. We dated and she became my fiancé. Then she developed a brain tumor and was given a 1% chance to live. We said unofficial goodbyes before her surgery. She survived, but her personality was not the same. She hardly remembered me and asked for space to think about things. Last I heard, she was in New Mexico working as a waitress and spending her free time watching TV or with her parents when she was having a hard time. I heard she hasn't dated since, as she now believes love doesn't actually exist. I tried reaching out, but she doesn't know who I am, and her parents couldn't convince her of my identity either. It hurts to think about, but I do still wish her well.